Backchat TV. Subscribe.
He has also talked about it. That left hook is so good, and it's so long and so precise and so hard. But
What's going on, guys? It's Backchat TV and I'm back with another video. This time, breaking news. Terrence Crawford just got himself into a great position, the best position he could hope for, to get a chance to fight the winner of Tim Tszyu. It was meant to be Tim Tszyu, Keith Thurman. That fell through. Now, he gets the mandatory opportunity to fight the winner of Tim Tszyu versus Fundora. And then all of a sudden now, we've got another curveball. It's like they don't want to fight Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford just can't get a break. I feel sorry for him, to be honest. So basically, Tim Tszyu's manager, Glenn Jennings, I think he was in an interview, and he said that from a manager's perspective, he would be willing for Tim Tszyu to vacate the WBO title to get a chance to fight Errol Spence instead of Terrence Crawford. Now, I don't know if Terrence Crawford is the most unluckiest man, but, this is something that could happen. Terrence Crawford has gone from mandatory, definitely getting the fight, to now maybe not getting the fight. It could definitely happen. And just to kind of enforce that even more, Tim Tszyu was in an interview and he said that he'd love to fight Errol Spence because they have some kind of bad blood, apparently. He also said that he would be open to fighting anyone, and that includes Terrence Crawford, but he kind of seemed to have a special he had more of an emotional response towards the chance of fighting Errol Spence. Surprise, surprise. Errol Spence is a wounded animal, and I saw a little glint in his eye when he spoke about the chance of fighting Errol Spence, which was kind of missing when it came to Terrence Crawford, to be honest. Just my view. I don't want to say that Tim Tszyu is ducking. I don't think Tim Tszyu himself is ducking, but his management, and this is how managers always have this job of getting the best fights, the fights that they think their fighters can win, the fights where they think they're going to make the most money. And although you might say, well, Terrence Crawford is a better fight, everyone knows that it's much higher risk. Now, if Tim Tszyu was to vacate the WBO, he'd still have the other titles and fight Errol Spence. That would be a big fight for him. If you're looking at it from his perspective, that would be a big fight, and it would be a big scalp, and it would be a big win. Personally, I think that if managers always have more than one person that they can fight. Terrence Crawford is just one of them. Errol Spence is now popped up, and I'm sure there's some other people that could be in the conversation. But I think maybe Errol Spence might be at the front of the queue now because of Errol Spence wanting to probably fight the winner himself. He's got a lot of things going on at the moment. Rumoured split from long-term trainer Derek James. Rumoured to still have some ongoing injuries. He's definitely a wounded animal. And if they were to fight now, I would actually kind of favour Tim Tszyu, to be honest. I think it would backfire on Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence needs a tune-up before Tim Tszyu. And I never thought I'd say something like that, but I really do. I think he's been through so much with the car accident and then the loss and then the injuries. Countless things have happened to Errol Spence. I just do not know if he's the same. He needs a tune-up before fighting a fully fledged 154-pound champion like Tim Tszyu. I think Tim Tszyu would have a great chance of beating him, to be honest. But where does Terrence Crawford go if this happens? Now, it's not definite. It is likely that Terrence Crawford would still get the winner of Fundora and Tszyu, but I would not be surprised, because if Tim Tszyu has a tough fight with Fundora and comes through that, he might just want an easy fight afterwards, like most people do. And he may actually think that Errol Spence would be that easy fight. I don't know what their bad blood is, but he seemed very interested in fighting Errol Spence. And if Tim Tszyu is interested in fighting Errol Spence, and his manager's interested in fighting Errol Spence, then guess what's going to happen? But I hope it doesn't happen, because I really want to see Terrence Crawford is getting older. I want to see him achieve greatness. I am a fan, so I'm a little bit biased. I want Terrence Crawford to get the fight and to win the fight and to campaign to fight Canelo and really achieve great things, because I think he's a great guy. He's a great fighter, one of the best of our era, and I don't want him to just get ducked to death, if you know what I mean. You know, he doesn't get the fights, and in the end he retires, you know, accomplishing kind of 70% of what he could have. So I want to see him achieve greatness. Now, there's a lot of people who say, you know, well, if he doesn't get the fight, that's good, because it will force him to fight Boots Ennis and things like that. I'm kind of, I'm not sure where I stand on this, because like I said, I'm a little bit biased. I'm going to tell the truth. I am a Terrence Crawford fan. So from a fan's perspective, wanting Terrence Crawford to be great, I don't want to see him fight John Ennis. Now, I know that sounds a bit funny, but let me just explain. I would rather see him achieve greatness. I want to see him get these big fights, become 4-weight champion, fight Canelo, fight Tim Tszyu, you know, fight all these kind of big names that kind of give him the status of greatness. Fighting John Ennis doesn't do anything. It's just a good fight for fans to see who would win. Yeah, and Terrence Crawford is not ducking John Ennis, as we know. He doesn't offer anything, doesn't bring anything to the table. Now, if you think about it, people will say, well, how can you say that John Ennis is an amazing fighter? No, John Ennis, he looks like he could be the best fighter out of all of them. And I actually said this a long time ago, prior to any of these guys fighting. I said, John Ennis, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford are the best guys out there. Yeah, but number 1, 2 and 3. But we just don't know what would happen. And then Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fought, and we now know that Terrence Crawford is at the top. But John Ennis has not fought anyone yet. And that's just a fact. It's not that he could be greater than everyone. He could be better than both of them. All of them, you know. But he hasn't been able to prove it yet. So Terrence Crawford doesn't have any particular reason to go backwards. And you know, I know people say he could become a 2-weight champion, something he's already done. He's already won it. He wants to go up. He doesn't want to go backwards. If he fights John Ennis and John Ennis was to win, it would be the biggest scalp ever in his career. If Terrence Crawford was to win, it wouldn't mean anything. You know, he beat a guy who hasn't beaten anyone yet. You know, so Terrence Crawford is a lose-lose for him to fight John Ennis. From a fan perspective, yes, it would be a good fight. I'd like to see how John Ennis would do, because I think he's an amazing talent. But it doesn't make sense. So I don't know why people are saying, you know, Terrence Crawford needs to fight John Ennis, he's ducking him and stuff. It's just ridiculous. People talk about this ducking and they just put ridiculous things out there. You're not the one in the ring fighting. You're not the one trying to achieve greatness. You know, if you want to achieve greatness and you've done all this, why would you go backwards to fight a guy whose best win, you know, is an unbeaten guy who never fought any champions or anyone? If you think about it, Keith Thurman is a better name for Terrence Crawford than John Ennis. Now, someone could say that's crazy, but on paper, it's not crazy, because Keith Thurman has fought the likes and beaten the likes of Sean Porter. He's beaten Danny Garcia. He's beaten a lot of people who John Ennis has not been in the ring with. So, on paper, Keith Thurman would be a better backup fight if Terrence Crawford can't get any fights with any of these guys, and if they all duck him. You know, that's my personal view on it. I do understand the people who want to see John Ennis, but you have to understand that, you know, it's somebody's career. We're talking about Terrence Crawford's career. He's 36. He doesn't want to go backwards. He doesn't want to fight an up-and-coming guy. I know that, you know, there is a case for giving somebody a chance, but like I said, he's got a plan to fight greatness. He wants anyone who's got a belt, who's got a title, you know, and that's what he wants. If anything, Errol Spence coming off a loss, he's got more options. I think he could easily get a fight with John Ennis. He could easily get this fight with Tim Tszyu, or the winner, Fondora, whoever wins. So, yeah, I mean, it's looking bright for both of them. For Errol Spence, take his time, come back stronger. I would like to see him in with a lot of fighters, but I would like Terrence Crawford to get this opportunity because he was really banking on the Canelo fight and it fell through. Canelo didn't want to fight him. And then Tim Tszyu verbally said he would fight him, and now all of a sudden he would vacate the WBO to fight Errol Spence. You know, you can't make this stuff up. Terrence Crawford, I feel sorry for him. Ultimately, I'd be happy to see any of them fight. Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. I like both guys. Never had anything against both guys. But I just want to see Terrence Crawford, you know, further his career and become great. And it's getting kind of difficult for him to get a fight. So I hope that this fight doesn't fall through. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Tim Tszyu, or at least Tim Tszyu's manager, Glenn Jennings, is trying to duck the tougher fight in Terrence Crawford and trying to go for the wounded animal, which is undoubtedly Errol Spence? Let me know what you think. I'm on to the next one. I said, guess who's back? Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back?
TV. Subscribe.